Jamila again for
Hi.
part two. Okay, so we're going to jump right into it. We don't want to waste any of your time. Okay, so the first question we are going to ask for this series is, would you recommend someone to move to the Gambia?
I would say yes, but once again, know yourself and your limitations because Gambia is not for everyone. I think if you are kind of laid back and patient, then you can definitely do it. But if you're one of those who everything has to be a certain way and why does it take too long, or I went to this place and nobody's here, or they took me someplace else, then it's not for you.
Yeah, so you have to be super patient.
Yes.
That is key. Anywhere on the continent, I don't think that it's just the Gambia.
Or anywhere like you go to, like
That's
whether it's-
overseas.
Yeah, that's overseas. You know, or even someplace in the U.S. Ooh, South
Yeah.
Carolina can-
Yeah, but you're just thinking, oh, everything's supposed to happen like this, and it does not happen like that here.
Yes.
From the smallest things.
And also having patience and stuff too, because if you're one of those who snap off at people,
Oh no.
no, it's not
It's
gonna,
not gonna
work for you.
work.
Because Gambia is also very big on relationships and kind of who you know and building that contact. So sometimes you meet someone else and they run through the list of like, oh, so and so, and at first they don't know each other, but then they're like, oh, so and so's uncles, who's cousins, who's this, who's that, and it turned out that somehow that one person they have this common link. So.
Okay, so next question. Where else have you lived outside of the Gambia and the U.S.?
I've lived in, let's see, when I was younger, I lived in the Philippines, so I did an exchange there. I've lived in Venezuela for a minute. I've lived in Saudi for a minute. I've lived in China. In fact, I was there before here for like 3.5 years, almost 4 years. So, yes.
Awesome. Okay, and how is it to move with small children?
Woo! It's not too bad, honestly. If you have a plan and then you know that a lot of things can go wrong and you are kind of okay with that, then I think it will be fine. So I moved twice, once by myself with small kids, and then another time, this time my husband came with came with us when we did. So I think just kind of knowing the important stuff, such as make sure you have a contact on the ground who can be able to help you, is key wherever you're at. My last country I lived at, I had like one of the school people were there to help me out when my son got sick, and then here somebody else was able to help me like when the power went out and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, oh my goodness, where to go? So I think having that one person and knowing that things will happen and it's okay, just take a deep breath.
Okay, next question. How is the schooling here compared to other places that you've lived?
I only know one school here, so my kids are at an international school here, and I love the school. I think it's great. It's very small. My son is loving it. He's adjusted well. Actually, all my kids have adjusted well, so I'm very happy with that. It's like anywhere. You got to do your research and check things out. Like, don't be fooled by things that are glossy and shiny and like, oh, it's an international school. It's a good school. But, just kind of go and see what works for you and what works for your family, and also knowing your kid's personality too. I think it's very important. If you know your kid is very shy and doesn't do well with certain environments, you don't want to just throw them in there and be like, all right,
you're on your own.
Yeah, you're on your own. My kids are used to kind of being, moved around and just kind of thrown into circumstances, so they can adjust. But yeah, I would just say do your homework, talk to people, check out the school once you're there, and then just kind of go from there.
Yeah, and I would suggest too that if you feel like you've given it a little bit of a try and it's not a good fit, it's okay. If it's not a good fit for your kid, pull them out, reassess, readjust, and then try something else, because you might find somewhere else that's a good fit for your kid, because every kid has a different personality and in different environments. They're people just like us. They're just little people.
Yeah. And kids, I'm surprised about I know we always think about how resilient they are, and I know sometimes we as parents, we get over concerned about how will our kids handle it, how will they do this, and we start all these what ifs, and kids can, pleasantly surprise us and be like, well, why are you tripping? And also too, they pick up on all of our, anxiousness and our stress. So if you're not anxious and you're not stressed and you go into it that way, then I think it'll really be okay in most cases.
Okay.
So has it been easy for your kids to transition into living in another country such as the Gambia?
Yeah, it's been easy for them. I mean, but my kids are just, they're just different.
And they're used to
they're used to
traveling
it, like,
and moving.
yeah, so they did China pretty well, and my youngest just learned Chinese. Like, he just got frustrated that he didn't know the language and was like, I'm gonna learn. And so my oldest is, oh no, not my youngest, my
Your oldest,
Yes, and my oldest is very social. So he wants to like talk to people and meet people. So it hasn't really, he likes the fact that now he has his friends again, and so everything is open, even though with COVID being around. So for him, he's like loving that. My youngest is a little bit shyer, but the fact that it's a smaller school,
That's the name.
okay,
I
it's
thought it
gotten
was
dark
you.
over there, right?
Mhm.
But it's a smaller school, so that's kind of really worked for him, and my other kid's a baby, so. we'll see.
Okay. Now, would you say that it's easy for your children to socialize inside of school and outside of school?
Inside of school, yes. Outside of school, I don't know due to the fact of COVID. So my school is very strict. So there's no after school or club activities. But I did enroll them in swimming, and so which is outside in the open, lots of fresh air. So they have been doing that, but they don't. Definitely, they're not having the same kind of socialization that they usually would. Like usually, if there was not COVID, I would let them go out and play with the neighborhood kids and all that. But I'm not trying to do any of that, no matter what anybody says.
So how is shopping in the Gambia?
Ooh, how would you guys describe shopping in the game? Because I did it mostly with you. You know, I've been like having
Okay.
a housekeeper.
So we'll give so give your take on having the housekeeper shop for you, then we'll give you our take on like tourist kind of shopping at the market as like tourists.
Okay. I love having the housekeeper shop for me. I'm not gonna lie. I got hooked on that when I went to China because I was going to all this stuff, and she was like, "I can do it for you," and I was like, "You know what?
You
sure
can.
can do it. You get better deals than me. Know exactly where to go. So when I come home, like all the groceries are done and in the fridge. If I need something, I'll just say, "Hey, can we get this?" And she goes, "Sure." So I like the fact that I don't have to do all this extra stuff, and it saves time, less stress, and allows me to have more time with my family.
So you might see Kai moving to the Gambia just for having a house
Somehow.
You can get a nanny,
Yes.
get a driver,
Yes.
but I'm not
So
there yet.
my whole thing is yes, I would like the house help, so hiring somebody. But I know for me, a must-have for me would be a driver. I would have my own vehicle, but just hire somebody to come and drive me around in my own vehicle. Especially
you didn't like
during.
all that bumps and all that
No,
stuff.
no, no, no. I wouldn't mind driving some of the times, but other times when I know it's going to be high traffic volume, I would just want to sit back, like you see in those Nollywood movies. I just want to sit back in the back seat and be like,
Scrolling your phone, looking through.
and just enjoy the ride and be relaxing. Have a nice audio book or book, and just be like, okay, I know this is going to be an hour ride for which should be a 15-minute ride, so let me just sit back and relax, check my emails, do whatever.
I feel you.
That's my one thing. I don't know how much drivers are. If you guys know, put it in the comments. How much does it cost to hire a driver? At least part-time, several days a week. Let us just know. Okay, that's my must-have.
now shopping.
Okay, in terms of shopping, I think we did
You guys did
relatively.
very
I think
well.
we did well.
They were on point with the bargaining. What? It's almost like they lived here their whole life.
Yeah, so Kai was a beast with the bargaining. She thought I was a punk, okay?
No, let me tell y'all. Side note, sidebar. I know we're doing an interview, but sidebar, okay? Let's talk about it. Because she was like, oh, that's not a bad price. Just pay for it. Then when she get to her stores, oh, no, I can't pay this. Oh, no, you got to come down on the price.
No, the guy wouldn't come down on the price, so that's why I walked out.
And see, that's what we'll do a story
We'll
time.
do another story time about
Good
that.
looking discounts.
Yeah, she
and the free
was.
stuff.
She was.
Okay,
And Kai
okay.
got free stuff, especially when we started mentioning, like, we need to get her a Gambian husband.
She was
things like
schmoozing with the
that.
eyes. You know, even though we have a mask, don't underestimate the power of the eyes.
Yes, don't. So, but that's another story time. Okay, let's finish up with our interview with
Okay,
Jamila.
so how is it being a working mom in the Gambia?
I feel like it's just like being a working mom anywhere. So I'm still
Even in the U.S.?
Okay, so
Wait, that sounds like, wait a
I'm
minute.
okay. Well, I'm just as busy at work,
Yes.
but I don't have the added stress of coming home and be like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do for dinner? Or, alhamdulillah, she comes in the morning time and she gets the kids breakfast ready. And you guys are probably thinking like, well, what do you do then? She packs their lunches, so that is great. Picks them up from school, and then when I come home, I can just, relax. But I still have a lot of work, and I still bring workload or my
Work
work home.
So you still work hard, but it's nice having the help.
Yes, I just don't have. I have a lot more patience because I don't have to worry about like, oh, what am I gonna feed the kids? Or they're like talking about, oh, I need this, I need that. So I think I'm a little bit calmer, if that makes sense.
Nice.
So how would you describe or say that it differs from being a working mom in other places that you live?
The other place I've lived has also been help has been affordable. Depending, that's the difference. I'm very aware of the privilege of being an expat. So just putting that out there. So I think I would recommend for anybody to go ahead and leave if they can, because the quality of life for me is better. We just do too much in the States. We're the cook, we're the driver,
Yes.
with the person who does the laundry. We do it all, and we don't necessarily have to. It's what I'm like. We can't do it all. And I think we've been sold this myth that we can. More power to you if you can, but I cannot, and I'm not trying to.
Yeah, and my whole thing is that I think you're shortening your years
Yes.
in life with all of the stress of trying to do it all. Nobody says that we have to, but the thing is that typically in the West, it's hard to be able to afford that nanny, the housekeeper, and things like that, a driver.
I'm not the driver mode yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to be able to do that because the cost of living is high. So you're stressed out like all the time. So again, I think the quality of life is something to consider.
Yes.
Yeah, so on that note, we're gonna leave off on quality of life. Think about your quality of life, where you're at in your life right now, and how can you improve your quality of life. Yeah.
Sorry, we're outside
over there?
enjoying the
Uh-huh.
nature in
Doing the gates
Gambia.
locked.
No, it wasn't the gate. Okay, but on that note, thank you for watching.
Thanks, you guys, for having
Thank you,
me.
Jamila.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Have a theme song. Do do. Have a theme song. Do do.